Can I make a hole-in-one on this hole just by intending it? That was the question that I asked myself back on September 26, 2023, when I came out here and I played this hole 100 times to see if I could make a hole-in-one just by intending it. So let me explain what I mean by that and give you a little backstory. My name is Jaacob Bowden. I'm a professional golfer and explorer. I turned pro in 2003, and in 2004, 5, and 6, I was lucky enough to have my home practice area be the Pebble Beach Golf Resort area, I guess. So I would hit balls to the Pebble Beach driving range, and Pebble Beach had this par 3 course, 9-hole par 3 course called Fahreneheit, and I would go round and round and round and play that a lot. And the holes were anywhere from maybe 45 yards to 120 yards, and I shot the course record a number of times there. And also I was lucky enough as well in 2004, 5, and 6 in each of those years to make a hole-in-one on that course. So it is a par 3 course, but still it's a lot of fun to make hole-in-ones. And let me give you some little stats here. The odds of a hole-in-one for an amateur are 1 in 12,500, and for a pro, 1 in 2,500. So pros are a little bit more skilled, so that makes sense. But also, this is a short hole. These stats are taken into consideration a lot longer holes as well. But there's a statistician on Instagram that just told me the other day that pros from the fairway and 25 yards will hole out only about 1 in 110 tries. This hole here, now we're at Belle Isle Golf Detroit, and it's kind of similar to the old Fahreneheit in that it's a par 3 course. The holes here are a little bit shorter, kind of ranging from 35 to 65 yards. And it had been a while since I had a hole-in-one. This was my last one on a little par 3 course was 2006, and now it was 2023, so I wanted to see if I could make one. The longest I'd hold out otherwise on a normal golf course was maybe 125 yards. That was from a par 5. And then I've hit the flagstick a lot, hit the cup a lot. I remember on a par 5, I've driven the green, almost had hole-in-ones on par 4s, running the ball right over the hole. And then there was one in a tournament where I had driver on a par 3. Driver on a par 3. Well, that happens sometimes. Driver on a par 5, and then 3-wood to the green, and I left it on the back edge of the cup. So almost an albatross there, but didn't actually get any. So I came out here, and let me give you some stats about the hole here so you get a little bit of perspective. So this hole is the 4th hole. It's right along this channel here, the Detroit River. I played the hole 100 times, and spoiler alert, I made 34 birdies, and I averaged 2.56 shots per hole, or shots during those 100 holes. I played 1 ball only, so I could have hit 100 balls from the tee up there and just rapid fired them, but then it was just me out here. So what if a ball hits another ball and then goes in, and it just looks nicer also, I think, when the green is clear. And I didn't want to get into a groove either, so I wanted to try and eliminate the being in a groove. So I would hit a ball up here, walk up, play the hole out, walk back, and play it again. And I just played it over and over 100 times. And then the tee is back here, and I had to hit under a tree, hit it low enough to hit under a tree, so that made it more difficult. I had to hit it hard enough to get over the bunker. That also made it hard. And then there's the pin is over there now, but the pin was here back when I did this, and there's a flat spot right back here. So the idea was under the tree, over the bunker, landed on this flat spot, and then have it roll over the hump and then down into the hole here. And now I could see the flag, but I couldn't see the hole because there's a pretty severe slope right here. So I couldn't tell if the ball went, there was a moment where I couldn't tell if the ball went in, and the only way that I could tell if I missed it or not was, one, if I came up short of the slope, but then if I got it to the hole, got it down the slope, I would see it kind of rise up on this back part of the slope here, and then I would know whether or not I would make it or not. And this slope here on the PGA Tour, slopes, they will only put pins on 0 to 4% slopes. Any more than that, and it's just too steep of a slope, the ball won't really stay on the slope, and it just becomes too difficult. So this slope here, I measured it where the hole was, it was 7.51%, so very, very steep. So that made it much, much more difficult to not only make the hole-in-one, but I was playing the holes out, so it also made it really hard to make the birdie because there was so much curve to the putts and slope. So there was that. I was also hitting from a mat. I wanted to be respectful of the turf. It was 100 shots. I didn't want to like bang up so that is a factor there. It's a little bit easier on the mat, I think. The temperature that day was 66 to 68 degrees, so mid-high 60s. Elevation here in Detroit, 580 feet, so not sea level, not like up in Denver where the ball flies farther or something like that, Mexico City. The wind that day was east-southeast, 10-mile-an-hour tailwind, so the wind was kind of coming with me, and you can just take a look at the flag to see what the wind was doing. And there were gusts up to 20 miles an hour. So although I'm hitting the same shot here over and over and over, playing this hole 100 times, each time the wind's a little bit different, so that adds another level of complexity to it. So that's a little bit about the stats of the hole. So now let me talk to you about this in the thing that I was talking about with intention. And can I intend to make a hole in one? And so what I mean by that is our intention is a very, very powerful thing, like what we intend to do. So you may have heard about manifestation, visualization, those kinds of things. So part of like how that can work is, I won't get into all the ins and outs of it in this video, but we're basically in this electromagnetic field. So there's light waves, radio waves, some things, you know, the light waves, it makes the space turn into things that we can see, hear. The sound waves are things that we can hear. So all these things kind of give texture to the experience. But there's actually more space here than there is stuff. So how that kind of works a little bit is, or how I think of it, how it works is, so our brains are putting off frequencies, and it's not just like it's a little bit of like conscious stuff, but it's also like very much subconscious stuff. So sometimes you gotta, for manifestation, visualization kind of things, you may have to like do a lot of inner work to clear out some space for it to work. If something is in your subconscious is out of alignment with what you're intending to do or what you're trying to quote unquote manifest, then the difficulties of that will come up and it'll test you again, and you may have to like work through some difficulties, some fears, or deal with some past trauma or whatever. But I've done a lot of work clearing a lot of that mental gook out, I guess, so that I can hopefully be a little bit more in that intentional space. And also with intention, it's really important to, you may have heard this if you've been in the manifestation circles, like these whole things of act as if, and the brain doesn't know the difference between go in the fairway or don't go in the bunker. So if you say go in the fairway, you're thinking about the fairway. But if you say don't go in the bunker, then your brain doesn't know don't. You're thinking about the bunker. So having your intention on what you're intending as if it's already done, I guess, if that makes sense. That's a little bit of part of it. So when I'm playing this hole here, just to give you a little backstory, and then we'll start hitting these shots here. But what I'm trying to do here when I'm playing is I'm sitting behind the ball. I do a couple of balancing exercises, like energetic balancing exercises. I tend to be in my head a lot, so I try and like do some exercises to like feel like I'm getting grounded and pulling my energy out of my head. So there's some astrology that astrologic kinds of things that I'm doing, and I can do a video about this at some point. And then I might do, I forget if I did it with these shots, but there's this thing called educational kinesiology, say where if you make a certain motion, body motion, or hold yourself in a certain position, it causes certain things to happen with like hormones and just different chemicals in your body. So there's this one where I like sometimes I'll put my hand on my stomach, and that'll help ground me out of my head a little bit. So when you watch me hitting these shots, each time I'm trying to make sure that I'm entering in a clear space. And then also there's this thing called muscle testing. I might rub my hands together and then push energy down that way and pull energy back that way. So it's kind of like it clears your energy a little bit. So there's a number of things that I'm doing, and if you want to, I can do videos about these another time. If you have specific questions or want to know, like, hey Jaacob, tell me more about that, just put that kind of stuff in the comments, and like I try and read the comments and like take those into consideration for future videos and answering things like that. So trying to enter with like good energy each shot, and then I put my intention on the ball being in the hole. And then everything else there, as best as I can, goes on autopilot. So I'm lining up, I'm picturing the ball flying through the air, under the tree, land on the mound, come over the hump, disappear over the hump and roll in the hole, and I see the ball going in at just enough speed to like go deep in the cup. You can't tell that just by watching me, but that's kind of what I'm thinking about. Get my energy in a good place, visualize the shot, hold the intention of the ball being in the hole, and then from there I try and go on autopilot. So I use a spot alignment, so I'll line up to a spot right in front of me while I'm still holding my intention. So I'm letting my alignment be dictated a little bit by the intention of what I want the ball to do. And then I'll look at the target one more time and maybe just continue holding that. And then when I look back, I'm not looking with my eyes at the ball, but my mind's eye is still holding that image of the hole here and holding the image of the ball being in the hole. And then as I look back, I try and react to that intention, if that makes sense. So I'm reacting. It's kind of like if I were to throw a ball to a target in any other sport, like I played baseball, I had a tryout with the Minnesota Twins. So if I were to throw a ball to someone, I would just kind of look where I want to go, and my mind is pretty clear, and it's just a very soft intention about where you want the ball to go, and then you just throw it to your target. Very, very simple. So with the golf, although I'm turned back away from the target and I'm looking down here, my mind is still seeing the target and visualizing the ball being in the hole. And then I react to that much in the same way of like throwing a ball to a target. And then while the ball is flying through the air, like I was saying, we're in a electromagnetic field here, and there's a really great power of your intention and your brain. They can put devices hooked up to your brain, and you can see that your brain has frequencies. So even while I hit the ball, while the ball's in the air, I'm still trying to hold the intention of the ball being in the hole. And that's important because perhaps if my brain is going to have any kind of effect on the larger electromagnetic field, maybe the ball lands here on the slope, and there's a lot of little imperfections on greens, and sometimes you need a good kick for it to, I don't want to say there's a little luck involved, but that's one perspective of looking at it. But you need to, if I'm going to land it on the green, I need to get it to go through the wind and the wind gusts just right, and to land it on the green and have it just bounce on the green just right. So all these things really have to come into play. So while the ball is in the air, I'm trying to continue to hold the intention of the ball being in the hole until I can see that maybe it didn't go in. And then I release that and let go, and then I walk up to the hole here, and then when I walk, I'm trying not to, I tend to be very head heavy. Say astrologically, I think a lot, I'm in my head a lot, so, and you can really tell if I'm walking very head forward. So when I'm walking back and forth, I'm trying to also maintain my physical balance, but also my energetic balance. So I'm trying to like walk straight up and down, not head forward for me. And then I come and I putt out, and then I take the ball and go back and do the same. And I'm doing the same thing on the putts here as well. So that's a little bit about what I'm going to try and do here. Play this hole 100 times and see if I can intend to make a hole in one and actually do it. So remember, the math says I shouldn't be able to do it. Even as a pro, this is 35, where the hole was, it was 35 yards. And I'll remind you again, from 25 yards in the fairway, 1 in 110 times is about what a pro will do, as far as I understand from the statistician. So statistically speaking, it shouldn't happen. So let's give it a go. And let's find out. Post in the comment before you start seeing the swings. Be curious to know, one, do you think I'm going to get one? And then two, if you do think I'm going to get one, how many shots will it take before I get it? So post some comments in there. Let's get into it.